Okay, welcome back to how to resole a shoe with no heavy machinery, hand tools only, so you can do it at home. So for part 2, we will apply a sidewall to the side of the shoe to hide the scuffs caused by the sole removal. So step 1, we will take our wing dividers and we will create a line scored into the leather for where we want our sidewall to sit. So we use our wing dividers because when we follow the feather edge at the bottom of the shoe, it gives us the perfect line that follows that feather edge, so the pitch of the last. The wing divider is a really important shoemaking tool. We use it a lot in pattern making and it's an essential part of any shoemaker or cobbler's toolkit. And we're using a silver pen to mark in the line once we've scored it. So you can either use a silver pen or a leather heat pen. Both of these, when used on leather, they'll rub off with either a piece of rubber crap, or if you've got the heat leather pens, if you apply heat via a heat gun, they will disappear. Quick tip, always test your silver pens and your leather heat pens on the leather first before you use them. You never know, sometimes some leathers, they still show slightly. So it's always good to just test out which pen works best for the leather you're using. So once you've got your line drawn all the way around your shoe and it's looking neat and tidy, we're ready for the next step. So for step 2, we're going to take our Dremel and we're going to sand underneath the line that we just marked. This is to provide some tooth on the leather so that when we glue our sidewall piece on, it sticks well to the shoe. Remember, if you don't sand a piece of leather, it's not going to stick in that place. So you want to ensure that you cover every part of the shoe here. Now, once you've sanded underneath your line, we're ready for the next step. So it's a quick hoover up to get rid of all that leather dust that's going to make a mess. And we'll move on to step number 3. In step number 3, we will cut a strip of leather that is the length of the shoe with about 10mm overlap. And then the height of it is going to be, for our one, we made it 40mm. So that's 20mm that will sit above the shoe, and then 20mm lasting allowance that will sit under the shoe. So once we've cut our strip, we're then going to make a score here along the edge of the shoe for our stitch line. And this is about a 3mm measurement with the wing dividers to create a line here that we'll then use to punch the holes so that we can stitch our sidewall piece of leather into the shoe. We're then going to measure 10mm with our wing divider, and we're going to use this to make our holes into the piece of leather ready for our stitch. So we'll work along the leather and just punch those holes, just scoring them into the leather so we can then see them later to punch through. So run these holes through the complete length of the leather all the way to the end, and then we'll move on to step 4. We're now going to glue our sidewall onto the side of the shoe. So starting with the shoe, we're going to apply a layer of glue using the same glue that we were using before, the Reina Cologne multi-purpose adhesive. And we're going to apply this glue just so it hits the bottom of the line that we've drawn in. So run your glue around the whole edge, and then we're going to leave that to dry for a few minutes. And while we let that dry, we'll move on to our leather strip, apply glue there, and let that dry as well. Always ensure that you're getting a smooth spread of glue across the shoe. This glue, it can bubble up and you'll get a few bumps if you let the oxygen get to it too much. So I always recommend using fresh pot of glue, top it up, and make sure you've just got a smooth spread running across the length of the shoe. We're now going to apply glue to our leather strip. We only need to apply glue here to the top 20mm of the piece of leather. That's because that's the only bit that we're going to stick to the shoe right now. The other piece of leather, we'll stick that under the shoe at a later stage. So once you've glued your leather strip and the shoe, we're going to let it dry for 3 minutes so it's touch dry. And then, just to be safe, we're going to go back and apply another coat of glue. This is just in case you've missed any patches, and this second coat will ensure that there's complete coverage of glue over the whole shoe and the whole leather strip. It's also important that you apply this second layer while the first layer of glue has had time to become touch dry. Otherwise you're just applying wet glue to wet glue. There's no point. So let the first layer dry, give it 3-5 minutes, come back and apply your second layer. So once your second layer has touch dried, we're now going to apply the leather strip to the shoe. So we do this by applying heat with the heat gun, piece by piece on the shoe, taking it a bit at a time, taking it slow, and making sure that the sidewall is sticking nicely onto the shoe. So use your heat gun to heat up the piece that you want to go for. We recommend you're going to do about like 10 centimeters at a time, whatever feels comfortable for you. So you heat it up and then you're just going to place it on, making sure that the top of the leather piece is hitting just underneath that feather, just underneath that line that you made before, just at the top of the glue that you've placed onto the shoe. So work your way around, go through the shoe, make sure that you heat up every bit. We use the heat to reactivate the glue. This will make sure that it bonds well and it sticks properly. If you don't do that, it's not going to stick as well as it should. So heat it up and work your way around. Once you've reached the end of the shoe, you're going to apply the last bit of heat, stick it down, and then where you've got your overlap, you're just going to use your wing dividers to mark the line where it meets up with the other ends of the leather strip. You're going to make a mark there, make a score, and then using your scalpel, you're just going to cut that excess piece of leather off so that the one edge of the leather piece fits flush with the other end. And there you go, it's ready to give it a hammer and just make sure that glue's activated, and now you're ready for your next step. We're now going to stitch our sidewall into the shoe. So remember the holes that we scored off before? We're now going to take our needle awl and we're going to puncture through the shoe and make the hole that we will later stitch through. So this is an awl, you can get many different kinds. I recommend using a needle awl for this one. The sharper the better, because it does take a bit of force to get through the layers of leather. And do be careful with this, because you can push through the shoe and hit yourself on the other side. So just be patient and mindful, as this does take a bit of time. Especially it gets a lot tougher when you get into the heel of the shoe and you have the counter stiffener that you've got to push through. So work your way around one hole at a time, just puncturing them, taking it easy, and then once you work your way all the way around the shoe, we'll be ready for the next step. We're now going to measure the amount of thread that we're going to need to stitch into the shoe. So take your shoe and your wax thread, and we're going to wrap the thread around the shoe 4.5 times to give us enough length so that when we stitch this, we don't run out of thread. It's now time to stitch the sidewall onto the shoe. This is one of the harder parts of the process. If you haven't stitched before, it's a bit tricky. So we're going to pass this to Ish, and he's going to show you step by step how it's done.
So run thread in the needle, the awl. You want it to be half and half. You want it to be half on each side. As you can see on the awl, there is a groove side, which determines the direction that you'll be heading, and there's the other side that's a bit dented, just so it's a little dent on the needle. So yeah, I'm going to start from the middle. In order to start, you're gonna make sure you have half in, half out.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah, like 8 hours. Yeah, I read that somewhere. Also the island by him, so
So I'm holding this side, holding it against the O, and I'm pulling the other side in all the way through. Here we are. So the groove determines the direction you're going in. So we're going towards the hill. I'll be starting from here. So the holes that we pre-punched, you go in. You can see here, it creates a loop on the inside. So you want the thread that you pushed in to start off with. You put that through. So you can make the loop a bit bigger by pulling, so you can go through easily. All the way through. And then you pull the needle out. So that creates our first stitch. And you're going to do this repeatedly all the way through. So I'll do a few for you guys to see. So I'm going into the second hole. As I pull the needle a little bit back, creates the loop. I'll be able to pull a little bit more, get the thread from the back to go through. You see? Goes through the needle. Pull it all the way through. So it's going there. Further, pull back a little. That makes our third stitch. Let me show you. Sounds like this. You don't want the knot to come all the way through like this. That's a no. You have to just stay there. Stop there. That's 4. So we want to do it. Sure it's nice and tight. So yeah, just go to the side bit. I would advise, if you have an old metal hanger, anything that hooks like this, I'll find the name of this store for you guys. But we're just gonna help you on the toe section in order for you to pick up the loop that it creates and open it up so that you can thread it through. Otherwise it'd be quite hard to do so without this. You probably do it with your fingers if you got a skinny hand. But if you see what I'm doing here, just enable for you to be able to reach and pull the loop, you need something like this, which I'll be using throughout. Yeah, hey guys, we're now here coming to an end of my stitching. I'm literally on the last one where it's gonna attach both the ends of the lever. So the way you finish it, you want to go into the first hole that you started with, this one right here. This one right here, the last one. So I'll go in. Then you see the loop, this time you pull it all the way through. And you can pull the hole out. See that? So it's finished on the inside. And with this threads that's left on the inside, this is how it should look on the inside. If you can see. You can see here. That's the running across. So I should look in the inside. With these threads that are left over, these ones, we're just gonna tie it 3 times for safety. So I do 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, blade. I have some scissors around usually. So you're gonna cut it with some space, some allowance. That's a cut. And then with the leftover thread, I usually just get some masking tape. See, I've left enough, never know when, but that will happen. If it ever comes apart, you'll be able to tie another knot or something. Just there. So now I'll attach that down. Pin that down. Some masking tape, some duct tape, any tape. It's gonna go under the midsole, so the midsole now will still go on top. So I'm gonna just put the last back in. Yep. So this is our side stitch all the way throughout. You can see on that well. Stitch through.
Okay, thank you, Ish. So the last step before we last is we're just gonna trim our sidewall here. We gave ourselves 20mm allowance, and depending on the stretch of your leather, you might just want to trim this a little bit just to make lasting a little bit easier. So we're taking off about 10mm here, and we're just working our way around the shoe, trimming it with a scalpel. We're also going to put in a few 5mm snips just into the leather. This will help us when we're last and reduce the number of pleats and make the whole process a bit easier. So add your snips and then we'll be ready to move on. So join us in part 3 where we'll teach you how to last using a technique that we call factory style.